Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hi everyone. Today we would like to present a familiar topic in business world, which is communicating across culture. Also, we say cross-cultural communication. So first of all, let us understand what is cross-cultural communication. So by definition, cross-cultural communication is the process of recognizing both differences and similarities among two different cultural groups in order to effectively engage within a given context. In other words, cross-cultural communication refers to the ways in which people from different backgrounds adjust to improve communication with one another. So, talking about communicating across culture in the context of business, I will give you some examples of international business, or we say global business. Why global business? Because what we know that is in global business actually involves many countries, many cultures. So it gives us easy way to understand what we want to learn in this chapter. So, international business like we have Huawei, which is originated from China, expanded its business to more than 170 countries, making in 107 billion in revenue in 2018. Also, we have Honda, which has been founded in Japan for almost 72 years, selling Hondas in over 104 countries. And last but not least, we have a very popular coffee shop, Starbucks, where it has stores in over 70 countries. So from these examples of global business, we may ask a question: how do these businesses can be successfully managed across many countries, whereby their customer, their management, their stakeholders as well come from different cultures? Furthermore, some people may ask, okay, cultural differences. What is cultural differences? Cultural differences like the communication style, the decision making style, and then the gesture different people show, and then the approaches of solving problems. These cultural differences also can lead the misunderstanding and conflicts arise when we communicating with one another. Not only in the same culture, but also exist in different cultures, across cultures. So what we're gonna look through in this chapter is how can a businessman, or we say entrepreneur, can build effective communication when contacting with others who come from different cultures, and also what are the strategies should be taken when communicating with another. And in the last part of the presentation, also we will point out the importance of the effective cross-cultural communication in a business.
A very good morning, and today I will begin the first topic, developing culture intelligence. Culture intelligence, of the short form is CQ, is a measure of your ability to work with and adapt to members of other culture, be developed and improved over time with training, experience and conscious effort. Culture include the shared values, norms, rules, and behavior of identifiable group of people who share a common history and communication system. Developing culture intelligence is more than possessing favorable attitude toward members of other groups. Okay, for the respect, recognize and appreciate cultural difference, many public and educational campaigns have focused on embracing diversity. Diversity as a presence of many culture groups in the workplace. Business professionals with higher culture intelligence embrace diversity as a moral imperative and as a means to achieve higher performance. Okay, then be curious about other culture. Taking an interest in and learn about how particular culture is studied abroad, learn a language, develop friendship with international students on your campus, and fourth, take an interest in a culture and routinely learn about it. Inappreciate stereotype can make interaction less complicated since they serve as a starting point for understanding the motive and value of others. development stereotype or generalization to try to understand the attitude and behavior of people we do not know, especially those of a different culture. Is an attempt by the brain to group and categorize in complex situations. There are two types stereotype which interacting with member of other culture, which is projected cognitive and outgrowth homogeneity. Projected cognitive is a similarity in the tendency to assume other and the same norm and value as your own culture group. For the outgroup homogeneity, effect is the tendency to think member of other group as an other member. Psychology, this approach minimize the mental effect tend to get to know people of other groups. Adjust your conception of time is one frustration the most people experience when communicating and working across culture is dealing with time. Many cross-culture work projects are conducted across great distance. Naturally, this requires additional time due to the communication tools and organization decision-making process. People of various cultures conceptualize time differently. What seems fast in one culture may seem slow in another. Countries such as Germany, Japan, and Italy were considered fast-paced culture, whereas countries such as China, Brazil, and Mexico were considered slow-paced ones. Lastly, manage language different, which is English is increasingly considered the global business language. Global companies like Nissan, which are composed primarily of non-native English speaking business professionals, have adopted policy of conducting meetings in English. To conduct business across culture with those who have limited English ability, consider the following advice, which is avoid quickly adjust the other and limited communication proficiency. Second, articulate clearly and slow down. Thirdly, avoid slang and jargon. Fourth, give other time to express themselves. And lastly, use interpreter as necessary.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. In my part, I will discuss about understanding cultural dimension. What is the meaning of cultural dimension? Cultural dimension theory is a framework for cross-cultural communication. It describes the effect of a society culture on the value of its members. There are 8 cultural dimensions, which is first, individualism and collectivism. Second, egalitarianism and hierarchy. Performance orientation, future orientation, assertiveness, human orientation, uncertainty avoidance, and gender egalitarianism. Okay, for individualism and collectivism, this is the most influential cultural dimension. It deals with the level of independence and interdependence that people in a society possess and encourage. Individualism refers to a mindset that prioritizes independence more highly than the interdependence. For collectivism, it refers to a mindset that prioritizes interdependence more than independence. Okay, for future orientation means it's involved the degree to which culture are willing to sacrifice current ones to achieve future needs. For egalitarianism and hierarchy, egalitarianism is decision making is more decentralized. Meanwhile, the hierarchy decision making is more centralized. And subordinates speak for more openly with leaders even during disagreements. For the hierarchy, subordinate refers to leaders during disagreement. For assertiveness, the level of direction in speech varies greatly across culture. This can lead to miscommunication, misinterpretation of motivation, and hurt feelings. For performance orientation, the extent to which community encourage and rewards innovation, high standards, and performance improvement. Human orientations means the degree to which an organization or society encourage and rewards individual for being fair, friendly, generous, caring and kind. Last but not least, for uncertainty avoidance, uh, uncertainty avoidance deals with a society's tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. It ultimately refers to a man's search for truth. It indicates to what extent a culture programs its members to feel either uncomfortable or comfortable in unstructured situation. Okay, for example of countries with low uncertainty avoidance include such as United States, England, India, China and Singapore. For example of countries with high uncertainty avoidance score include Italy, Korea, Mexico, Belgium and Russia. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next subtopic is about building and maintaining cross-cultural work relationship, which is involve communicating and working in entirely new ways for you and those of other culture. There are 3 ways to work it out. That is establish trust and show empathy, adopt a learner mindset and build co-culture of cooperative and innovation. First, establish trust and show empathy. Not only in business, we know how important to have trust in others so we can rely to them. The difference is, people from other culture may interpret behavior differently. So we need to consider how each aspect of credibility is earned in other culture, and vice versa. We need to allow members of other culture to show their credibility and learn to interpret properly. As you can see in figure 4.11 and 4.12, where the belief that most people are fair or most people can be trusted may be less prominent than in North Africa, while China are more conditioned to trust. So to be simplified, showing empathy is the best way to gain trust. It is include learn the other culture, understand and try to practice it. Second is adopt a learner mindset. It means expecting everyone have own knowledge and perception and share it with everyone and become one, which is assimilated. It doesn't mean we losing our identity. It also can describe as a open-minded rather than be a judger mindset, which is most people have a great deal of self-respect and self-esteem tied to their cultural identities. Third is build a co-culture of cooperation and innovation, that people generally adopt a unique set of communication and collaboration practice. They create a new set that adopt the best practice of other culture. This shows how comfortable we are to work within culture as one. Other than that, select people for international assignment who can handle uncertainty. We cannot randomly hire someone who is not willing to work it. We need to choose someone who is very determined and can handle the ambiguity, like open to new things and excited by it. That's all for me. Thank you.
Let's continue with learning the etiquette in other culture. Okay. What is this etiquette? Etiquette is a guideline for individual to behave. Is to say it's manner. We have to wash up our manners, our etiquette to other culture. Etiquette is also a code of behavior for individual or person in organization, people or individual. If we do learn etiquette in other culture, we have a problem with that because our communication, our culture and other culture is different. If we don't learn their culture, then we don't understand what their needs, what they want, and what their design to our company. Next, why we must learn etiquette? Because we want to show a first impression to our client or want to make a relationship with the other country. For example, Brazil. For example, like Brazil, we must know their etiquette. For example, is um, if we have a meeting with a Brazil or someone from Brazil, we must know some their manners or etiquette or their culture. For example, if we want to make a relationship with Brazil and we have meeting with them, okay, first, it's okay if you come late in the meeting, but it's rude if you leave earlier from the time the meeting off, because this show we rude to them and we not respect their culture and their etiquette. For example, the other example is from China. If we have meeting or want to make a relationship with China, we must know their etiquette, right? Okay, for example, if the Chinese people give you or present you their card, their business card, you must receive with two hands, not only one hand, or just take and leave it there. If that will show you unrespect them and maybe ruin your relationship with them. And if you receive a card, you must bravely look at the card and put on the table properly. You cannot just put in the wallet and into your pocket just like that. It show unrespect to them, because for their culture is you must look and put properly. It show our respect to them. If we learn and do the homework about their culture and their etiquette, they will see our effort to make a relationship with them.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Then I will continue my friend, which is my topic was generation, gender and other group identities. Okay, in this topic, we can see about ethic and custom in the four countries, which is Brazil, Russia, India and China. For example, we can see India conversation style, which is Brazil. They use animated, lively, loud, and spontaneous. While Russia, their conversation was calm, careful, philosophical, and frank. While in India, their conversation more to agreeable, friendly, conflict avoiding. And lastly is China, where which is their conversation style was modest, reserved, indirect or disagreements. Next, I will discuss about working across generation. It was 5 generations. First, the silent generation or traditional, baby boomers or boomers, Gen X, millennial digital native or Gen Y, post-millennial or Gen Z. First, the silent generation or traditional, which is the year of their generation was 1928 to 1945. They was grew up during the Depression and World War II. This generation was using radio and telephone for their communication technologies during this time. They also hardworking in workplace, loyal, disciplined, and dedicated, and more respectful. While baby boomers was grew up during a prosperous World War II, which is they often considered optimist, free spirit, and experimental. They also strong loyalty to employees, prefer a professional work environment. In workplace, the term workaholic was created for this generation. Third, Gen is 1965 until 1981. This generation grew up during rapid globalization with growing and intense worldwide competition. Was the first generation was used desktop computers and home video games as children or teenagers. There are more women entering workforce and more single parent families. Children from this generation called latchkey kids because they frequently let themselves into their home after school. They also had less parental supervision and attention. This generation also more independent, confident, self-reliant, responsibility, result-focused, and less formal. They are less loyal to employees. They are also not intern, willing to put in extra time to get their job done. They are also professional in open communication. Next, about post-millennial or Gen Z, which is their year was 2000 or after. Children or teenagers during the 9/11 attacks and the conflict that followed. They lived through the Great Recession and often saw their parents or parents struggle in unpredictable economic environment. They also grew up connected to people and information via social media and other online communication, which is we can see this generation will communicate with WhatsApp, WeChat, Instagram, and Facebook. They also can know about new about word new. Why generally view optimist, adaptable, sociable, friendly, collaboration, loyal to cause and issues, confident and impatient. We can see Gen Y was professional, seek to strike a balance between work and lifestyle. They also have flexibility in work hour, enjoy multitasking. Next, Gen Y also effective in design making, prefer face-to-face communication. Lastly, Gen Z, post-millennials or Gen Z, which is it start 2000 or after. Okay, in Gen Z, they're growing or even more connected, more mobile device, more focus on visual media, more accustomed to collaborative platform. We can see that Gen Z more modern than other generation. Some Gen Z individuals have already entered workforce and positive side about this generation is there was more open-minded and creative, while the negative side for this generation is they was lazy, low self-centered, and easily distracted. That I will explain about tips when we work with colleges, clients, and customer all age. Okay, first one, focus on individuals and their professional goals. People want to be recognized and respected for who they are on for individual level. They need to have their professional goals and focus on the individual. And second, recognize the similarities across generation, which is a member of each generation are fairly aligned in what they consider the most important aspect of workplace culture. Third, pay attention to preferred approach to communicating, which is communicated between generation different. So other generation will have to pay attention what other generation want to talk about. Last, appropriate formality and attire. The gender and communication patterns. In this, we can see that we have women and men. In women, there was more relationship-oriented, collaborative, and interconnected in thinking. Women also tend to ask questions more than men. They also share credit, give feedback, and speak less in meeting, while men more independent, competitive, linear in thinking, view apologize and expressions of responsibilities. Both, we can see speech pattern more common among women and than men. For example, in asking question, women asking lot of question. The benefit of that, opening up conversation, giving other a chance to speak and generating knowledge and gaining answer. While the risk of this is speaker appears to know less than other. In apologizing, but not least, I will discuss about tips when work with other than that use various speech patterns in different ways. First, notice when professionals use this speech pattern for task-based versus relationship-based or result. Purposefully and consciously adopt your own style. Do your part to overcome bias. Lastly, about displaying cultural intelligence with other group. Professionals who grew up in rural, suburban, and urban area often gain lifelong attitudes and behaviors related to sense of community, and pace of life and communication pattern. Still, likewise affects many professionals' values, attitudes, and identities in the workplace. Thank you.
Alright, now you have listened to what our members presented, so I will conclude that there are 5 considerations when communicating across cultures, which are: the first one is developing cultural intelligence, what we call it is CQ. CQ also, in CQ, what is the most important things is embracing diversity, because we may understand in a workplace diversity exists, because the workers, the employees also come from different backgrounds, different cultures. Okay, so the second one is understanding cultural dimensions. There are 8 cultural dimensions. And then the third one is building and maintaining cross-cultural work relationships, where we can do what we can do in this consideration is we try to learn and practice the other cultures, and then learning the ethic of another culture, and understanding the communication across generation, gender, and other group identities. Like what I say in the beginning of the video, I will point out the importance of an effective cross-cultural communication, whereby the effective cross-cultural communication can ensure everyone remains focused on the same goals and objectives, and hence helps everyone to keep their work up to date and of high quality. So hopefully you can understand what is communicating across culture, understand what we have presented in this chapter. So thank you everyone, good day.
Audio
Audio Jungle.